Episode 6 of The Last of Us Season 2 brings us back to a simpler time when Joel was still alive and things seemed a little bit more normal in this post-apocalyptic hellscape of a world. Don't forget these videos will contain spoilers for The Last of Us Season 2, so if you haven't caught up, go watch the show and come back, or if you don't care about being spoiled, then let's just jump right in. Episode 6 is called The Price, and it largely focuses on the years between the end of Season 1, where Joel tells Ellie the lie about there being other immune people, and the night where Joel tried to stand up for Ellie against Seth at the New Year's party. It does so by jumping across Ellie's various birthdays over the 5-year span between seasons. The episode actually starts with a flashback all the way to 1983 when Joel and Tommy were just kids living with their abusive father Javier, played by Tony Dalton, who you may know better as Lalo Salamanca from Better Call Saul or the Swordsman from Hawkeye and most recently Daredevil Born Again. After Tommy is ripped off while buying marijuana, Joel beats up the other kids and they end up getting in trouble, although Joel tries to cover for Tommy. Javier is a cop and says he's already learned the truth from the other boys involved, and instead of beating them, he actually gives Joel a beer and tells him a story about how his father abused him even worse than what he does to Joel and Tommy, and that one day he hopes Joel can do better at being a father than he did. Flash forward to a couple of months after arriving in Jackson, and we see the aftermath of Ellie burning her arm so that she can cover the bite on her forearm. Joel does a pretty good job of restoring an old guitar and getting her a cake for her 15th birthday. Ellie asks him to play her a song on the guitar, so he plays Future Days from Pearl Jam, which was the name of the first episode and a song that is used multiple times in the game. On her 16th birthday a year later, Joel brings Ellie to an abandoned museum and sees a massive dinosaur statue that she climbs, and they go to a space exhibit with the Apollo 15 module still intact. While sitting in the spacecraft, Joel gives Ellie a cassette tape of the Apollo 11 liftoff, and she listens to it and imagines herself traveling to space. On her 17th birthday, Joel walks into Ellie's room while she's smoking weed and getting intimate with Kat, who has been tattooing a moth on her arm over the burn marks. Joel gets mad at all of it, the weed, the tattoo, and her being with another girl, and Ellie announces her intention to kind of move away from him and move into the garage. They argue back and forth before Joel finally concedes, but the distance between them has started to grow. On Ellie's 19th birthday, Joel finally lets her join him on patrol. Before they go, she is seen rehearsing questions she wants to ask Joel about what happened in Salt Lake City, with all of it not quite adding up in her mind. While on patrol, they encounter Eugene, Gail's husband, and see that he has been bitten. Eugene asks to see Gail one more time before he turns, and it has to be killed, and Ellie convinces Joel that he's okay and has enough time to make it that far before turning into an infected. Joel promises he'll take him back to the gate so that he can see Gail one last time before he dies, but after Ellie leaves to collect their horses up the hill, Joel leads Eugene to a beautiful area by a lake so that he'll at least have a good place to die. Eugene says he doesn't want that, he just wants to see his wife, and Joel tells him that if he truly loves her, he will always be able to see her face. Eugene pauses, collects himself, realizing that this is the end for him, says he can see her face, and Joel shoots him. As they bring back Eugene, Joel lies and tells Gail that Eugene killed himself after he realized he was going to turn, but Ellie angrily tells Gail that Joel is lying and that he is the one that actually shot Eugene, which causes the friction between Gail and Joel that we saw earlier in the season. Then it flashes forward to the New Year's Eve party where Ellie and Dina kiss that we saw at the beginning of the season. After that scene, Joel is on the porch playing the guitar he made for Ellie, and Ellie storms past him. However, the scene plays out a bit further than it did originally in the first episode of the season, and she comes up to the porch and demands to know the truth of what happened in Salt Lake City. Joel tearfully admits that he did kill all of the Fireflies, including Marlene, and did so to save her life. He says there weren't any other immune people and that he prevented a cure from being made. Ellie gets angry and says that her life could have meant something and had purpose had he just left it alone, but Joel says if he had to do it all over again, he would make the exact same choices because he loves Ellie and hopes that one day she'll do better with her own children, mimicking what his father told him at the beginning of the episode. Ellie doesn't think that she can forgive him for what he did, but is at least willing to try because he told her the truth. The show then flashes back to the present, where Ellie walks back to the theater in the rain after killing Nora, where we presume Dina, Jesse, and Tommy are all waiting for her. So this episode is likely the last we'll see of Pedro Pascal, minus maybe some kind of flashback in the final episode, but this is definitely his last full episode on The Last of Us. It kind of took all the flashbacks in the game and put them together in one episode in what they're calling their bottle episode, which means basically it can be produced cheaper and restricted because it just focuses on the two lead characters. There's no infected, no crazy battle scenes or anything like that. Some scenes were ripped straight from the game, while others were either changed or left out altogether. I did like how it was kind of a send-off for Joel after such an early death. It's one thing for a video game for a character to disappear early, but it's another for a TV show when you think about Pedro Pascal being used for all the marketing and such of the season, and I'm glad they were able to work in some other great scenes with him. I may have liked it a bit better to mix them in with the story more, how the game did it, and spread it across the whole season or even next season, but I did think the episode was done well from the outside and not necessarily from a copying the game standpoint. Kind of similar to how they did episode 3 of the first season where we saw Bill and Frank's story play out. I've seen a handful of criticism from how they handled this episode, but it's all from a, well, in the game, this happened standpoint. I don't really like when things are just shot-for-shot remakes. This is a new art form telling the same story. I'm fine with the showrunners, writers, directors, etc. taking a different approach. It's also not like somebody else is taking the source material and destroying it. This show is literally run and written, and this episode directed, by the creative director, writer, and studio head over the game. This is their story, and if they change some stuff, they're probably changing it in the way they want to tell the story, either in a way maybe they wish they could have done it before in the game, or in a way that just makes more sense for a live-action TV show as opposed to an animated video game. Now, that doesn't mean you have to like it, but it's always this way when things are adapted. The book was better than the movie people always drive me nuts for the same reason. The book or video game can be enjoyable, and the movie and TV show can be enjoyable for two different reasons. If you don't like it just because it's not your cup of tea, then so be it. But turning your nose up because X or Y was done different than the game, so what's wrong with them, especially when it's the same people doing it, that drives me a little crazy. I will say one of the things that has been harder to follow this season, and it may have been this way in the game, I don't know, is trying to follow the time jumps back and forth. What happened, where, and why. Even in this episode, we jumped from 1983 to like 2024 to then 2029, I think. The biggest change between the game and the TV show is how it was depicted when Ellie found out about Joel's lie. In the game, they revisit the hospital in Salt Lake City and she discovers the lie there, but the show writers found that less compelling and more unrealistic due to the more dangerous world they had created. I looked it up, and in a car, it's about 4.5 hours from Jackson to Salt Lake City, so who knows on horseback or foot. I don't know how it would have played if they had just done it that way or not. They instead replaced it with Eugene scenes, though, to set up Joel getting caught in a lie to Ellie that way. Eugene is only seen in a photograph in the game when Ellie and Dina find his abandoned marijuana den, but that's found by Jesse and Ellie in the show when they're on patrol. It is funny that Joe Pantoliano plays Eugene, and you can actually see a Matrix poster in Ellie's room with him playing a pivotal role in that movie. After the episode was done, it did make me miss that Pedro Pascal won't be a part of this anymore. I thought his acting was great in it, playing kind of a troubled dad who had lost his daughter and had a second chance and was then losing his second daughter because of his lie. Rolling Stone's review said that this episode made it hard to not wish that the show was still primarily about the two of them, and I kind of agree, and I know I'm not alone in that. I feel like that the story of the second game was criticized for that, but that was always something you had to keep in mind when doing the show. If you do a second season, you're probably going to have to follow the second game, but people probably aren't going to like that. In the look ahead, it seems like the characters are going to get caught in the middle of a fight between the WLF and the Seraphites, which has kind of been going on in the background the entire time. Based on the game, I assume we will finally see Abby again just in time for the show to end. Like I've mentioned in other videos, the game is actually played through the eyes of both Ellie and Abby. We've gotten none of Abby's story other than her quick revenge plot against Joel in the first couple of episodes. It seems there will be a good natural break after this episode to allow a good portion of next season to be shown through Abby's eyes and tell her story. In at least probably the first few episodes, I assume Caitlin Dever will be heavily featured in. That also means she'll heavily be featured in the marketing of it, kind of replacing Pedro Pascal for season 3. So with only one episode to go, what did you think of the flashback episode? Was it a good send-off for Joel and Pedro Pascal? Do you wish they could have just changed the story altogether and done their own thing? Or are you glad that they're sticking to the game story for the most part? What do you expect for the season finale, and what do you expect from season 3? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more TV recaps, movie reviews, and other great content right here on The Pop Culture Life.